Good morning, everyone. So I decided today to film a little TBR jar picks my next reads because I finished everything I was listening and reading last night. So I literally have nothing in my current progress kind of like pile. So it's time to pick a few next reads. There's a few books on my shelf that I'm excited about. And also today I have a few errands to do, take care of Airbnb, things like that. So it's a perfect time to be binging an audiobook. Who knows, maybe I can finish a book in a day, because it never happens with the physical books. I don't think I have enough time in the day to sit down and finish one book in like one sitting or one day. So I think my chance with that thing, to cross it off my bingo card if you will, is to start the audiobook nice and early. Right now it's like 8:30 in the morning. Just walked Dash, he's running around there trying to figure out if he wants to play or what he wants to do. But while it's quiet, I think I have a few minutes now to just see how it works. It's going to be my first time picking out from the TBR jar. I already wrote all the prompts and everything, so I'm just gonna grab that real quick. Here we are. So I have a teeny tiny little jar here, I guess a little pot. This was a gift from my dear friend. She went to Morocco and she brought me this. It literally is incredible. It looks handmade, which I'm sure it is because it's very, very unique. And inside there's basically a bunch of mini little papers folded with prompts in them. So she said to put your wishes, close it up and let the wish come true. But all I wish to do is just read more books. So I think that makes sense. They're all different colors, but I really didn't have any system as such for these. So what I'm just gonna do is pull the first one out and see what happens. And there is Dash coming in with his pretzel toy, so he's gonna jump on the bed and I think and play with it while I read this. All right, that's interesting. It says male author. Honestly, I don't think there's anything on my shelves, but I just added a book into my list last night, after I finished all my other ones. And I'm pretty sure it's a male author. Let me just check. Yep, there's a book that's called Main Character. It's this one here. And someone who I follow on YouTube rated this very highly, and it has a very interesting style, the way it's written. So it's not written from the main character's perspective. Each chapter is from a point of view of someone in their circles who knows them, maybe a friend or someone they work with, I guess, a neighbor or anything like that. So I'm curious to see if this as an audiobook would be any good, because you would imagine that they would have different narrators as well. And luckily I have one credit available on my Audible, so let's search that up. Okay, I can do preview and see if I like the narrations. It's just narrated by one person, but that should be alright though. Okay, I love it, because so far, if I understand this correctly, it's set in London. We just came back from London. I'm literally going to just confirm purchase and get that now. It's in my library. Amazing. So first book, I'm going to start listening to it the moment I start walking up to the Airbnb and doing all the errands. So that's perfect. Okay, book number 1 done. It says summer vibes. Okay, let's see. This I think I can pick from my shelf because I've got quite a few books there that I either recently purchased or the rom-com-y type. So let's take a look at the shelf. Okay, so it's between these two books. The reason I thought this one is because on the back of it, it literally says, I want to explain it all to you, how that happened, how that summer, the summer I was 16, made me the person I am today. I want to share my memories with you, the happy memories that are sunbursts sparkling on the sea, but then like a current dragging me under, there's that summer of 1997. However, the first kind of part and the first chapters are not set during summer, so I guess it just goes in between. And I'm also pretty sure this was set like in London or around London, so that could be a good one, I think. And it's been on my list for a while. I didn't buy this. This was one of the books that my mama had here when we would be here for summer holidays, and we've owned it for quite a long time. I just never picked it up. And then there's Blue Sisters that I just only recently got. I still have the sticker on it, so that's the last book that I bought. I think it was literally this week. This will be very interesting. Yeah, we're talking about Fashion Week and stuff like that. So, and again, it's set in London. Wow, I keep picking. That's amazing. Well, part of it anyway. Ah, okay, and then they reunite in New York. Okay, that makes sense. So, I really wanted to get this one out of the way, but I'm so excited to read this one. So I think I'm gonna pick this one. I mean, there's no time like the present, right? Like, get excited about something, start it, and just see how it goes. Especially I just only picked it up this week, so I think this is gonna be the second book on my list. All right, let's see what else comes up from the TBR jar. Okay. Booktuber recommends. Let me see. I was watching a lot of Sarah Caroli's videos recently and just been adding main characters. Actually came from her recommendation as well, but because we already picked that, I'm gonna look at something else. There's Whistler that I have on the shelf, and then there is The Raven Scholar, which is like a fantasy book. Both of them were in the recent videos of like Rachel's videos. So one of them, I'm not sure, it's like a family kind of like reconnection dynamic story, and the other one is the fantasy one, which is almost like a battle of who's going to become the next emperor and things like that. And there's different houses or like categories of people that are competing for that. So maybe for like the difference of it, but it is quite large. But I think maybe it's more intimidating to me just because it is kind of like just thick. However, it's not that tall, if that makes sense. And the font is all right. I don't know if this is something you read in just like quick one sitting. I don't think so. I think it's gonna take me weeks. So I think having this as like a second read, like a second book on the go, if that makes sense, maybe would be better. And then there's a Whistler by Anne Patchett, and this one has a huge font, very spaced out paragraphs, and it's a new release, that's why it's in a large format. It was also very much recommended by her, and I definitely can read this in like a week or a few days. So this one is about when Daphne notices an older gentleman following her around the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York. She doesn't expect it to be Eddie, her former stepfather. And so they kind of like meet again now, talk, you know, rekindle their relationship, I guess. And it's set in New York. Cool. So kind of is the other book. That would be cool. And I wouldn't be able to decide which one to pick first. I think this one will have to wait a little bit more, maybe till September, or when I feel like I just only want to have one book on the go, and when I can maybe get it as an audiobook as well, so I can kind of mix and match. That way the 600 something pages are gonna go much faster, rather than if right now I get into it and get into a slump, we'll have a problem and I might not like it as much. So I think I'm gonna pass on this one and pick this one up. I don't think I'm going to read this first. I think I'm going to start with Blue Sisters, really, once I sit down and start reading, because, as I said, I'm going to start with the audiobook today, but like as my second read, physical copy will be Blue Sisters. But so far, so good. I'm enjoying picking these prompts out of this little jar. It's so much easier than just looking at my shelf and being like, what do I want to read? It's kind of like you go by theme, you go by like just, you know, like a game, picking from what you got. And so the next one is going to be The Midnight Library. Yes, it was published May 2026, and I got a signed copy back when we were in London, so let me grab that now. Oh my god, this is going to be such a good reading month. There we are. It's basically, if you ever read The Midnight Library, The Midnight Train, like a journey between the two characters. They get to kind of like, let me see. When your life flashes before your eyes, what will matter most? For Wilbur, it was his time with Maggie, the love of his life, their honeymoon in Venice, I love Venice, before he threw it all away. Years later, on the brink of his own death, a train arrives, and it could take Wilbur back in time to relive his most important moments. Soon he realizes just how much he would have changed. So it's like an adventure through time. I love the little colorful edges here, and I think I'm gonna like this one quite a bit. And half of the pages, like some of them are literally less than one page. I've seen this and I was like, okay, that's gonna be quick. So I'm kind of excited about this, especially because it's a signed edition and it's a hard copy. It's the first signed book that I ever purchased, and it was in the Downed Books in London, so that's quite special to me. And now I've ordered a hard copy as well, same format and same size, same publishing house, of The Midnight Library, so I can have them side by side on my shelf, because I am pretty sure this is going to be a 5-star read. Worst case scenario, if something goes wrong, 4.5. So quite excited about this one. Adding it to my little pile over here. I've got 4 books. Normally I read 5 books in a month. However, it's not quite like the first of the month. I think we can pick one more, and that's gonna cover me for the rest of August and all of September. And we have a trip coming up in September. We're going to Ireland for a little weekend away. It's like 5 days. So I know that there's going to be time on the plane that I'll read, and I know maybe that, you know, in between things we're taking a bit of time off, I will have time to sit down and read and chill. So I think it's fair that I just pick one more, maybe one orange one. Let's see what this one says. Can't open it. It says, a book with a title that starts with the. Can you see it? I think it would make sense to pick from the actual shelf. Let me see what we got on my physical TBR. Would it be cheating if I pick The Great Gatsby? It's like that long, and I have it on my shelf. End of September, we're going away to a lake party, and this book is called The Last Party. Should I pick it up now or later? I could, of course, pick up The Story of You, the book I was showing you first, as well, to get that out of the way. I could also pick The Diary of CEO, because why not? It was on my list for a long time. Maybe I should, so that I actually hit my self-development books quota for the year, so let me grab that. I know this is going to be a fast read for me because the font is huge. Half of it is like little written things like that, so it should be quite easy. Yeah, I think I'm gonna do that one and get it over with. There's gonna be a few paragraphs that I always skip because there's stories of some random people, and I'm like, okay, I get the point. I don't really need to read 5 paragraphs of their life story. That's quite interesting. I think I'm finally going to get through this. I've had it on my shelf for so long, and I finished every other book before this one, so I think this is going to be good for me. I love the color scheme of this. Now imagine main characters as well here on top as an audiobook. I think this is going to be very manageable because I'm very excited about every single one of these books. I've never really picked them like that to begin with, but also I've never really gone from one book to another that I'm that excited about. So that's going to be a good reading month. I feel like 5 books. One of them is audiobooks, so it's going to fly by. So even if I finish 6, let's say, somehow during the month, that would be quite an accomplishment, I would say. So far it's been like 5 a month on average, and you know, we can definitely push that limit, especially if some of them are audiobooks. So yeah, really excited about that. I'm happy with the picks, the little TBR pot provided. Thank you for that. You go back on the shelf. And then I'll probably get started with one of them now while I have my coffee and breakfast. Maybe even a little lesson from the Diary of a CEO to begin with, you know? And then update you on the progress in a little while, how I'm doing with the reads throughout the month, probably in the next video. And that's pretty much it for today. Thanks for sticking around. Let me know if you read any of these books, if they were on your radar. I'm quite excited to dig into them, so I'm gonna let you go, and see you in the next one.